Hi folks, this is Go Green Investments and I am Mr. Green, your host. It is June the 1st, 2021 and a spectacular day in some respects on the stock market today. But today we're going to talk specifically about one holding. We talk about it often here on Go Green Investments, and that is HCMC. Specifically today, the title of the video is Why HCMC is Tanking Explained. I want to take some time and share with you some of the reasons I think HCMC is certainly just not performing well, and we are stuck in a holding pattern that has seen a slow decline over the past few months, with the inability for most of us to take any profits or experience any growth in this particular stock. Now, much of that comes from, frankly, how the company is being run, the direction that the company seems to be going. So that's what we're going to discuss today, and I hope it sheds some light on HCMC for you. So before we press on, let me just say something personally about this particular stock. Look, a lot of people unfortunately seem to mix their personal feelings with their business sense. And unfortunately, we've talked about that many times on Go Green Investments throughout a number of videos. But the fact of the matter is you've got to separate your personal feelings from business. So the things that I'm going to go on and explain with respect to HCMC stock and why the stock is tanking at this time are not personal, guys. I'm here to help you to make money. So I'd be doing yourself and me a disservice if I happen to not provide the facts that were relevant. We've got to look at the good and the bad. Right now, unfortunately, the negatives seem to be outweighing the positives. We're all hopeful that this stock is going to make a resurgence, and we're all hopeful that it is going to win. But we shouldn't stick our head in the sand and act like these things aren't happening, because of the fact of the matter, they are. So let's start with reason number one. And what is that? Well, it is a consistent number of offerings. And when they say offerings, that means that they're going to offer you something, but really what they're doing is they're offering to take your money. Now, are they using it for illicit purposes? Well, we certainly hope not. But the fact of the matter is that there has been a consistent schedule of offerings from this company. I find that very concerning, as I mentioned in my previous video. Look, a company cannot sustain itself by consistently going back to shareholders and prospective shareholders and just asking for a handout without a market reason, some type of plan, some type of strategic action that is going to take advantage of and use and utilize that investment. All we seem to see at this point is a consistent reaching out by Healthier Choices Management Corporation to fund their operation. That's problematic to me, and it's worth noting. So let's move to reason number two. One of the things that I lobbied for early on, if you go back and watch earlier videos, is the fact that the company was simply not communicating with their shareholders or potential shareholders, and I found that to be very problematic. Well, when I started to discuss that, all of a sudden we saw a new Twitter page, we saw more news activity reported on the website, we saw a little more social engagement, which I felt was a good thing. And then a tray of videos was released by the CEO. And at that point, things seemed to backfire. Now, I'm sure that Mr. Holman had the best intentions in place, explaining the company's intentions to shareholders, bringing a rights offering, details of that to the shareholders personally, to try to give them some ease, some confidence. But unfortunately, I just think it backfired. Much of the feedback that I got was that Mr. Holman wasn't believable. He did not seem credible. And they felt as if that something behind the scenes was going on, and he was speaking a lot of doublespeak. So unfortunately, when you deliver a social message, that's what can happen. If that is, if those words and the person speaking to the public are the face of the company, it's incumbent upon that particular piece of media to convey that message in a very, very positive way. And unfortunately, I think in many respects, it has failed. Moving on to reason number three. Look, guys, it's time to talk about this, the D word. We can't keep ignoring it. It's there. And it's dilution. This stock in particular has a free float of some 63.44 billion shares. Okay? The stock is diluted and it's getting worse. That's not helping the stock. So when there's discussion, which there has been many times, of a reverse split, and then there was a concerted effort by the CEO to say, no, a reverse split is not our intention at all at this time. But if it serves the health of the company and of the stock and of the shareholders, we may at some point down the road, and down the road could mean tomorrow or a year from now, bring this up with our board, and then we would put it to a vote with the shareholders. So the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of shares, a lot of shares, yet we continue to see offering after offering, which is simply offering more dilution. And that's another problem. So let's move to number 4, and I'll keep this one short. Simply institutional sell-off. MJ Holdings was a great example of that. They sold $6.4 million worth of HCMC stock recently. Now, clearly, the dilution is high. You've got billions and billions of shares, and this was a 1.5 billion share move here at $6.4 million on the part of MJ Holdings. But the fact of the matter is, my belief, simply my opinion, is the fact that if MJ Holdings was confident that there was going to be price action that would bring more profits that they could take in the future. We don't know what their plan was strategically for how long in the future they may have been willing to wait, but I venture to say, had that stock had some type of price action, anything that was moving it in a northerly direction, there would have been no reason for MJ Holdings to disperse with their particular holdings, that block of 1.5 billion shares. So that, I would say, is also problematic. On to reason number 5. So, the direct offering. Well, under normal circumstances, it might be a good thing to get a 25% discount on a direct offering. For those of you who saw this particular coded message on your trading platform, as did I, you were made aware of the fact that you would be able to exercise an option to purchase at a 25% discount a direct offering through HCMC. Now, the reason I wanted to point this out individually is because what I find problematic, once again, to reiterate, is how many times are we going to go back to the till asking for more money with no real strategic plan of what you're going to do with that money other than we're going to protect our intellectual property suite? For me, I'm sorry, that's just not enough. For me, that means we're looking for more money to pay for legal fees. That to me is a problem. Now look, they have a right to do what they're doing, and I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with the 25% discount. But how much lower can we go? 25% of 0012 is a savings, but not much because we're so close to 0000, frankly. So I did want to point that out because I also find this problematic. Now on to reason number 6, and this is probably one of the most important ones, and obviously one of the ones that we talk more about than anything else, and that is the lawsuit versus Philip Morris. Now the reason that I bring this up and its relevance is because of so many people who comment on the channel and on these feeds regarding these videos, and this is what I'm hearing a lot of. Well, if Judge Batten allows this case to go forward, it's a slam dunk. We're going to win. It's done. It's all over. Folks, look me directly in the eyes as I say this to you. It doesn't matter if this trial goes forward or not. Lawsuits are not slam dunks. They can go sideways in a heartbeat, and I can tell you right now that it is very possible that Philip Morris can prevail in this particular lawsuit. Now, I have said all along that HCMC has a good case, but think about this. When you heard in video number 5 of that tray of videos that Mr. Holman produced through HCMC's website, what did he say? We're using funds that we obtain to protect our intellectual property suite. Now that to me, on any day and twice on Sundays, means that we are going to pay legal fees. Okay. And I'm a bit concerned with the fact that now we're trying to kind of GoFundMe legal fees so we can keep this lawsuit going, because it's probably what's keeping this company going at this point is the fact that there is a belief that they may prevail in the lawsuit and the company may thrive, hopefully, as a result of a victory in that particular suit. Look, that would be great. But that's a long way from getting there. It could happen 6 months from now. It could happen next week. We don't know. But what I'm trying to say to each and every one of you, lawsuits are not a slam dunk and they can go sideways in a heartbeat. That's what I've tried to convey to you, and I will convey it to you again right now. So be careful if that's what you believe, because you can get your feelings hurt very, very quickly if that's what you're spending your money on and you're depending on a return for. Okay? So guys, I will leave you with number 7. This is probably the most important, but this is more about real life business. And we've talked about that before. Forget about the math and the numbers and the free float and the RS and so on and so forth. Let's talk about real business. And I want you to look right over there. What do you see? Well, what you see is you see the interior of a really nice Ada's grocery store. Now, what I've said all along, and I will say it again, and I hope that the company hears me, I do not think investors are gaining confidence by the fact that you are basing your entire business model on trying to win this lawsuit and now trying to fund the lawsuit by future offerings. Now, I haven't been in a board meeting. I don't know that that's their strategy, but I think I'm intuitive enough to believe that that's probably what's going on. The fact of the matter is that future stockholders, current stockholders, potential stockholders are just going to lose faith very, very quickly when they see no price action, a stock that has done virtually nothing but tanked. And the fact of the matter is, and we've mentioned it before, remember these words, tangible growth. I'll mention it again, tangible growth. I hope HCMC hears me. Tangible growth. Now, I am here to tell you, and I believe this sincerely, if that company were to make a press release and say that we are going to be opening 6 new Ada's markets in the state of Florida, I have to believe for the life of me that that stock price would move. Even better if maybe say that they were to partner with Publix or partner with Kroger and say, in conjunction with the Kroger company, for example, we are going to be opening a handful of new Ada's markets throughout the state of Florida, or maybe up through Georgia into the Carolinas, whatever the case may be. That's called tangible growth. That would excite investors. Right now, I think many people are starting to see that the strategy of the company is probably not matching up with what most investors want to see. Again, if you are banking on a lawsuit, you're gambling, because oftentimes you will not get the result that you like. So folks, in conclusion, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please do share it, give it a thumbs up and a like. That is always appreciated, as is your support of the channel. I hope you had a great Memorial Day, and I hope this video has helped put things in perspective for you. Again, this is nothing personal about the company. This is simply business. And hopefully this information trickles its way back to the company and they start to do things maybe that are in their best interest. I'm hopeful for that, as I am the success of the company and you and me as stockholders. Again, for Go Green Investments, this is Mr. Green, and I wish you, as always, good trading.